Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Bonsais Forever. My name is Jay, and I got a really interesting tree for you today. It is called a fringe flower. I don't know the botanical name off the top of my head. I will have to look that up and put it in the description for you. So today I'm going to be doing some after flowering cleanup on this tree. So it's called a fringe flower, and I should have done some foaming before it lost all its flowers. But anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to clean up where all the flowers were. I'm going to take all the buds off and just basically clean this tree up so that it can be ready for springtime. I'm also going to chop back some of the branches, reduce the size. I'm going to cut off all the dead branches, and basically that's going to be it, because I can't really repot it right now. This is a springtime repotting shrub. It's actually a very common shrub out here in Florida. Northern Florida is where I'm at, and it's common here. I'm not sure about southern Florida, but it is pretty common here in Northern Florida, and I'm trying something new. So the floor is a little weird. I've got strips of granite countertop that I put on the ground to put my chair on, because otherwise the ground under the chair is sand. Like I said, I'm gonna try something new here with my setup. See if this works a little bit better. See if you can see the tree a little bit better. All right, so I'm gonna start off with cleaning out the weeds out of the pot here. It doesn't have a whole lot of weeds, but it has been cold the past couple of days, so the weeds are dying or dead, and that is fantastic, because then I can take all the dead leaves or dead weeds out of here and hopefully not have as many next year. Oh, I say that giggling because it's probably not going to happen. So there's that. I'm going to take the cool little snake out. I don't know what this is made out of, but it seems to corrode pretty easily. I might not leave it in here. I think I'm going to leave the planting angle of this. I don't know, it might look a little bit better standing up a little bit more, or raising some of the branches, moving them around a little bit. But I think I'm just going to cut it back, see where we're at after that. Probably not going to show you all of it, because there's a lot. Each branch has a ton of little, where the buds were at on the branches. So I'm going to take all that off, and then I'll go back and start cutting it back a little bit. One thing that I really like doing is collecting all the cuttings off of everything, whether I'm going to keep it and make another plant or tree, or whether I'm going to make it into compost. I try and save everything. I don't want to be wasteful. So I do this, trimming where the flowers were, to gain space on the tree for new growth. As I'm doing this, I think that I might just go and trim everything back at the same time. If I find a spot where I left some of the buds and I didn't cut it back, then I'll cut it back then. But I think I'm just going to go through. I'm going to start with the lowest branch, which is this one here. It's going to be this whole thing here and this whole piece back here, and just trim everything back. And I know this is going to be kind of an awkward way of doing this. That's kind of why I did the camera off to my side before. But anyway, we'll try this out, see how this works, see how it looks. But my main goal with this is to reduce some of the size of the tree, reduce some of the weight on the branches, because they are a little bit heavy and they're very very fine branches, as you can tell. I don't know if this one's alive or not. It doesn't look like it. Yeah, the branch is not alive. It just snapped right off. That's a good indication. Is the branch alive? And it snaps off. Nope, it is dead. I'm going to take this whole piece off. I do want to reduce the size of this a little bit as it gets more mature and as it develops. I do want to reduce the size of it a little bit, but I kind of like how it's just long. All the branches are long and flowing and just all over the place. I think it's kind of cool. So I'll probably leave a lot of the long growth. I do want to kind of make each end of the branch a little bit more compact and not necessarily like pads, but just make it more suitable to where it's not just all long and droopy and like that. Because this is a lot more droopy towards this side than it was when I first potted it. Because I think I first potted it, it was almost straight up, and I was just leaning over to that side a lot. And I don't dislike it. I just want to lighten it up a little bit so that it can continue developing in a little bit more upward direction. There's actually quite a few seed pods on this. It's kind of cool. I wasn't planning on discovering what the seed pods look like, but it's kind of cool that I did wait. Huh, this is interesting. I'll show you guys this. So this is what the seed pod looks like. Of course you can't see it because it's so far away. There we go. I cracked that open, and that piece right in the middle is the seed. So that's pretty cool. I'll save it and try and grow another tree out of it. That would be pretty awesome. So some of these branches are going in a really backwards direction like this. I'm going to cut this off. If it grows new buds here, it does. If it doesn't, then so I have what I'm doing over here. I have my potting soil bags over here, and I'm hearing something in the potting soil bag, so I wanted to see what it is. And here, I'll show you really quick. Don't worry, I'm not going to hurt the little guy. It's one of my little friends. It's green anole. And this is one of my male green anoles that I have in my greenhouse. He just hangs out here. I'm going to put him over. He might just hang out. Hi, bud. You going to hang out? Hi. I got you out of there. Yeah, I don't want you to die in there. And now he's turned into a brown color. I think that's pretty awesome that you can actually watch them change colors. Their eyes, like right around their eyes, stays blue. Like a really cool blue color. And their bodies change colors. And he's a little chilly, so he's sitting on my hand, warming up. Hi, bud. Hi. I'm so glad you're in here. All right, go over here. Go. There you go. So, anyway, that's what I was doing over here, digging around. Just hope you didn't think I was crazy. So I think that I need to maintain this a little bit more often during the springtime while it's growing to compact this a little bit, because right now it's just got really long leggy branches. And some of the other trees that I work with, I've noticed if you maintain trimming them more often, you don't have to try to go back and fix the tree after it's gotten out of hand. And it takes a lot more effort to fix it than it does to just maintain it. So I'm going to, during the spring, I'm going to go and cut back the branches more often. I may or may not show all the times that I do it. I can try to if you guys would like. Otherwise I might just, you know, as I'm watering the garden, I see it needs trimmed back, I'll just trim it back and show you guys updates. And if I do a major pruning, do a major pruning, or I can show you every pruning if I can remember. But if you guys would like me to do that, just leave a comment and I'll work on doing that. Right here, I'm gonna try and get it back into some kind of shape. This tree did not look so good when I first got it. It was, I mean, it doesn't have a lot of branches now. I mean, it has a lot more growth than it did, but it didn't have a whole lot of branches on it when I first got it. So a lot of this is actually new growth since I did get the tree. Another thing, I'm going to try and cut the branches off that are going in a really jacked up direction to try and get the tree to go out so that it looks like it has a better, you know, better shape to it. I don't know why I'm having such a hard time with my words today. I've seen a lot of these trees at the garden centers, like all the local box stores. You can get them pretty much anywhere out here, and they're relatively inexpensive as a fresh plant, but they're on sale a lot, and I think it's possibly because of the growing style of it. And you can see it looks pretty sparse, and this is healthy compared to what it was. I'm not 100% sure if this is exactly healthy. There's a couple of branches that have some leaves that look like they have had pests on them. I need to really go out and spray my garden with some of the neem oil and dish soap to get rid of some of the leaf pests out here. I don't think that they're aphids because I haven't seen any aphids, and a lot of times when you have ants in the area that you live, if you have aphids, you'll have ants like all over the tree. So I don't think it's aphids, but it has gotten cold, so the ants are kind of going a little bit dormant. I'm not upset about that. Ants are a pain in the neck out here, but it has been cold, so I can't say that I've seen a whole lot of ants on everything recently. But it has been, I think it's been cold enough to kill off a lot of the bugs on the plants too. So hopefully there isn't a whole lot of them staying on the plants dormant, and when it starts warming up a little bit, I will definitely go through and do some pest control on them. A lot of these branches are short enough that I'm just cutting the the dead flowers off. don't have enough branch to cut back to. I want to keep at least two nodes on a branch. This one has a few more than two, but they're actual branches. It's got 6 branches going up, and it is kind of sparse still, so I kind of want to keep that many on there so that it will increase its growth during the springtime. And we'll see how it grows then, and then we'll go back and determine how much or how fast it grew this year or this next spring because of this trimming. And then the next year we can determine, do we cut it back further, or can we cut it back further, or do we need to cut it back further? And then or do we not cut it back as much, which I'm pretty sure it's going to be a little bit further next year. Because I'm hoping that next year it's a lot more healthy than it was this year. Obviously, like I said, I got it as a discounted tree, so it wasn't doing so well when I got it, and it was kind of late in the season already. And this year's been relatively warm throughout the beginning of the wintertime, so we've gotten kind of a little bit longer growing season this year. It's kind of weird too, because they were saying that this year was going to be a really cold year. I haven't seen it yet, and I'm not speaking that into existence. I just haven't seen it yet. Like I've said before many times, I'm not a huge fan of cold. Everything I like does a lot better during warmer times of the year. I like the reptiles and the trees, so they like it when it's warm. So this branch is like really awkward. I'll show you. It's right here. This branch is going like straight backwards, and this branch kind of grows out really crazy. But that's the only 2 branches on this branch right here. So I want to keep this branch, and it doesn't look like it has buds behind it, but it kind of does. So I'm going to leave this on here for now. I'm going to cut it way back though. Actually, I might just cut it back to this branch right here. I'm going to cut it back to this branch right here that's coming off the side, because if I do that, then it kind of grows outwards, and that kind of looks interesting, going back and then back out. There's quite a few branches on this that go back in a different direction than they were going, like completely opposite direction. So I think I'm going to just leave this one on here, and then I'm just going to cut the ends off where the flowers were. It seems like all the flowers grow at the very end of the branch, but it looks like I'm kind of going in a little bit farther on some of them, but that's because that's where the end of the branch is. I'm trying to leave as many leaves on here as possible. I might wire this in the springtime, because I think right now, with it being so cold, it's kind of flimsy, and I don't want to add more weight to it so that it falls over more, and then I'm adding wire to lift it up, and it's falling over because it's heavy because of the wire. So kind of a catch-22 or counterproductive. Alright, kind of like this branch. It goes back on itself. This branch goes back on itself. Let's see it right here. A lot of this stuff is just going one way and then the opposite. This branch is really heavy, so I'm going to probably take some off the end of it. this whole end off. Take the whole end off. I'm not sure if you can propagate these from cuttings, so let's find out. There's another seed pod. These things are pretty fragile. If you just try to yank the flowers off, that breaks off part of the branch unless you hold it right behind it. Looks like you probably could though. It might be a lot easier to do it this way. Kind of like pinching a juniper. I'm gonna cut this branch back too. It's starting to look like a bonsai again instead of a crazy mess. This pot that I have it in, my brother painted it up. It was something that they had some other kind of decoration in it, and kind of got lost in the yard. And then he repainted it and let me put a tree in it. I think this one does pretty good in it. It's one of those not typical trees, so having a not typical pot is definitely kind of cool with it. I like it. I'm also taking all the flowers off because, for one, I don't want to allow the energy that the tree has to produce seed pods right now. Even though I do have a couple of them, those were from a while ago. And like I said, I need to get to this tree a little bit sooner this next year than I did this year, and maintain it rather than going in and fixing it. So, and also a lot of these look like they're dead at the end of the branch anyway. They don't look like they have the potential to be making a seed pod. Alright, so I know that that looks like I cut off a lot, and I kind of did. I think it looks a lot better though. It looks a lot lighter. It looks like it's going to have more space for the branches that I left to do something good this next year. Cutting off some of this stuff that's going just absolutely crazy directions. I kind of like it because it goes in crazy directions, and I think it kind of goes with the pot because the pot's a little interesting too. But I think that's pretty too. You know, it's not something that's all dark and gloomy. It's like a bright color with kind of a dark and gloomy tree actually. The flowers on it are really pretty though. They're like super bright pink red color. Kind of a I don't know, they're pink I guess, but they're kind of a really bright pink color. Alright. So I think I'm not going to wire this tree. I'm just going to leave it. Like I said earlier, I was just thinking maybe I should wire some of it. I'm not going to. I'm going to just let it grow. Let it put on some new growth. Hopefully it puts on some more growth over here a little bit. And if it doesn't, I just hope that it puts it on evenly on this side. If it doesn't, we'll fix that by cutting it off. So yeah, I think I like it like that. So I think that's going to do it for this video. It's kind of a short video, short, sweet. Not a whole lot to it, but I like this tree. Just wanted to share it with you guys. So hopefully you enjoy the video, and hopefully you like it. Give me a thumbs up if you did like it, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you on the next one.